You are listening to the English language news of Kan, the Israeli Public Broadcasting Corporation.
It's 8 p.m. in Israel on Tuesday, the 23rd of April. This is Mark Weiss with the news. The award-winning one-man show Knock Knock will be performing for the first time in Israel in May. Knock Knock has been touring the UK, the US and Hong Kong, and has won awards at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe and at the United Solo Festival in New York City alongside countless five-star reviews. The show describes what it's like to be a parent in the shadow of armed conflict, from the unique point of view of a single mother who works as an officer of casualty notifications in the IDF. When the time comes for her only son to wear the army uniform, she is facing a life-changing dilemma. We spoke with Knock Knock writer and one-man performer, Petel.
All right. Knock Knock describes what it's like to be a parent in the shadow of armed conflict. And it follows the journey of a single mother who also works as an officer of casualty notifications in the IDF. Her job is to knock on doors and to inform families that their son or daughter had been killed. And when the time comes for her own only son to wear the army uniform, she is facing a lifetime dilemma. It's a one-person show, and it's been touring the world. It has won awards at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe and at the United Solo Festival in New York, and it's been touring the UK, the USA, Hong Kong, and now I'm going to perform it for the first time in Israel.
How was the performance received abroad? Because it seems to me a very specific Israeli subject.
Yeah, you're right. But then at the same time, it's very universal. Within the play, I'm not mentioning the words Israel or Gaza. It's about parenting. It's about being a parent. It's about raising your child when you know that one day you have to send them to hold a rifle and to fight in battle, which is a subject that I think everyone can relate to, everyone on Earth. And indeed, when I performed it in the West End in London or in Edinburgh or in Hong Kong, most of the audience wasn't necessarily Jewish or Israeli, and they were really engaged with it. And most of the times I'm staying afterwards to conduct a Q&A session, like a post-show conversation. And in London, I remember that one audience member approached me after the show, and she asked, "So where is this taking place? Is this in Ukraine? Is this in North Korea?" And then I realized that, yeah, it's doing its job. It's as universal as it can be. It's about being a parent.
Are you changing anything in the script for the Israel performances?
No, not a bit. I'm keeping it the way it is. It was written in English, and it's gonna stay in English, at least for those shows. And I'm looking forward to see the way it's going to be received here.
Why did you decide on the format of a one-person show as opposed to a regular play with different characters?
First of all, the show was written as part of my master's degree in performance in London at Mount Academy of Theatre Arts when I was studying there a few years ago, and I was looking for a material to write my dissertation about, and I've decided to research how to create your own solo show, because I always loved doing solo shows. I performed in a solo show before in Israel, and also I wanted to have something like that will generate a potential job opportunity for me for when I graduate in London in an industry in a foreign country, that industry that doesn't know me. So that was like the initial practical need. And then I've discovered through research the power of and the magic of solo performances. It could be sometimes a lonely journey, but at the same time, it's magical. You get to have an intimate connection with the audience, and you get to, usually one-man shows are accompanied by a low budget and a lack of human resources, because there's only one person on stage. So you have to come up those limitations. They summon up innovation and creativity. And that's really an exciting thing for me as a performer.
Now, the main character, as you said, is a single mother who you play in this solo performance. Wouldn't it have been better to get a woman to play this?
First of all, I wrote the show for me. And secondly, this character, she was born by accident as part of a private joke between me and my friend. My friend was dating this guy, and I was mocking her on the phone, pretending to be this guy's mother. And every time we would talk on the phone, I would improvise a little monologue of this guy's mother. And those monologues, they accumulated into a whole life story through time. And one day I was improvising one of those little monologues over the phone, and then I suddenly realized that I'm improvising a eulogy for my son, and that he died in the army. And that left me really emotionally distressed. And then I realized that this is it. This story is worth becoming a play. And I started immediately to putting together all those monologues and turning them into a play. So yeah, it started as a fun, the fundamental fun of acting.
Now, amongst the other venues you played at was at a venue at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, where in the past it's been difficult for anything associated with Israel to find a venue because of the BDS movement. Did you find any difficulties as an Israeli?
Yeah, as you know, in order to be accepted for the festival, for the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, you have to first apply to a venue and hope to get a deal from them, to get a venue to invite you to host your show. And every venue that I approached with the application with Knock Knock, it has been refused because they heard that it's about Israel, and they said, we don't want to take part in this. We're scared that this show is going to be boycotted by the BDS. And that was quite frustrating until one venue, one Tzaddik, C venues, they actually approached me. They heard of the show. They got recommendations, and they approached me and they said, we will have you. We're going to host your show. And really thanks to a great organization called Friends of Israel in Scotland, and specifically Friends of Israel in Glasgow, who've been doing a major hard work during the last few years in the field of fighting BDS in Scotland, or if you say, if you want, securing securing the ability of Israeli artists to come and perform at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival without being scared. Thanks to them, the whole month that I've spent in Edinburgh Fringe went, fluently, and I didn't have any protesters.
Niamh Petel. You can catch Knock Knock performances on May the 4th in Tel Aviv at the Camry Theatre, and on May the 5th in Jerusalem at the Incubator Theatre.